Lauren Boebert spoke about guns and said that we need more guns in America, and the percentage of the world's gun total number that we own, which is 46% of the entire world's guns, even though we're only 4% of the global population, that's not enough, she thinks. And here's what she had to say about that.
Decided to bring them into the oversight and accountability hearing so they could speak for themselves of why they should remain an agency in our federal government and not have the appropriate features of their agency put under another, like the FBI, once we clean that out. But other than that, the Second Amendment, it is absolute. All of the regulations that bureaucrats make, the laws that bureaucrats are trying to make, the unconstitutional laws that are passed by the federal government, the state legislatures, they make our country less safe. Gun-free zones are the most dangerous places in our country. The Second Amendment is absolute, and it's here to stay. A recent report states that Americans own 46% of the world's guns. I think we need to get our numbers up, boys and girls. I thank you so much, Mr. Clyde, for hosting.
If there's one problem in regard to the United States and guns, it's not that we don't own enough of the world's total number of guns. Again, we're 4% of the global population and own 46% of all the guns that exist, based on the report that she's citing. Now, what was she saying there? That the Second Amendment is absolute. That's just not true at all. If the Second Amendment was absolute, you should be able to get your hands on any arms under the sun, on any type of weapon that you would like to. Can you do that? Do you think every random person should have access to a machine gun or military-grade drones or bombs of different sorts that the military has access to? No, that's absurd. A nuclear weapon? Do you think if you had the money and resources, you should be allowed to own your own personal nuclear weapon? Hey, you never know. I'm just preparing for the zombie apocalypse. No one thinks that. So it's not absolute. Similar to how the First Amendment is not absolute. You can't say fire in a crowded theater. That's not protected, even though it's speech and we have free speech. There are borders, there are parameters to all of our rights, and we all understand that. And the Second Amendment is no exception. And so what's so wild is she's just advocating for an America that's even more unsafe than it already is in regard to gun violence. When you look at developed countries, when you look at similar wealthy nations to the United States, and you compare, what's the main just glaring example of the difference? What's the variable that is so different between the United States and these other comparable countries? Number one, we have a whole lot more gun violence, and we have a whole lot more guns. Other countries have mental health problems. Other countries have violent video games. Other countries have all these different things, but they don't have the lax gun laws and the high gun ownership that we have. And so it's not saying, let's take away your right to have a gun. No, it's saying, let's put in reasonable common sense regulations that prevent individuals who shouldn't have guns from getting guns. And let's not just flood our streets needlessly with guns. But if you are a responsible gun owner, you'll just may have to go through a little bit longer of a process to get it, and then you'll get your gun. It'll be absolutely wonderful. And maybe you don't get a gun that's designed for killing as many people as possible in a military war setting. Seems reasonable to me. And it's so clear that that is what is needed. As CNN writes here, when you break it down, not us to other countries, which we just discussed, but state by state in the United States, the study by Everytown for Gun Safety determined that California had the strongest gun laws in the country. Hawaii topped the list. Actually, wait, let me scroll a little further. Here we go. A study published in January by a leading nonprofit organization that focuses on gun violence prevention found that there's a direct correlation in states with weaker gun laws and higher rates of gun deaths, including homicides, suicides, and accidental killings. So states within the United States that have lax gun laws experience worse gun violence. And that isn't even as valuable as an insight as it could be, because our states are right next to each other. There's no border that you can't cross. And so people go across, and as we've talked about in the past, in states that have more heavily regulated gun realities, the guns that are used in crimes are disproportionately coming from other states that have more relaxed gun laws. And so if federally we had proper regulations, then we would experience less gun violence federally. She's pushing for the exact opposite reality, which is so enraging. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the full bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description.